as I said, the damage of denominationalism, where ministers are reduced to effectiveness only when they baptize a child,
yes,
when they do a confirmation, when they bury the dead, and they think, oh, our minister is good because he's doing these things. We would like the minister to be good because he's preaching the gospel. Whether there is burial or no burial, people should be able to go to church, you see.
My name is Glenn Lyons, presiding Bishop of Reach South Africa. I've got a very special guest on our Reaching the Field. I'd love to introduce you to a great friend of Reach SA and a partner in the gospel ministry that we're doing here in Southern Africa, the Bishop of Reach Namibia, Bishop Lucas Katenda. Walelepo Ntate Katenda.
Now, walelepo tate.
Onawa.
Hello.
It's good to remember. It's good to hear those words again and remember our visit to Namibia or Vambaland.
Yeah, when you did the consecration, people still remember you greeting them. Malelepo.
Good. I'm glad. I can remember a few words.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, it's good to see you, and you are bishop of our church in Namibia. For many years, I think the Church of England has had a presence in Namibia, going all the way back to Church of England in Namibia, and they might have been called Church of Namibia for a while. But now you're an extensive number of churches that you head up, which is called Reach Namibia, the Reformed Evangelical Anglican Church of Namibia. A lot of people don't know about Reach Namibia, but tell us a little bit about how Reach Namibia came together and how it ended up as this large group of congregations that we have today.
Reach Namibia obviously is the Church of England outreach, Church of England in South Africa, outreach in Namibia since 1977, but officially 1978. Although prior to that time, there was already a group of Anglicans who didn't really regard themselves as evangelicals until they were formally accepted into the fold of the Church of England in South Africa by the Synod of 1978. Under the headship of the later Bishop Peter Kalangula, who died a little over 10 years ago. And as a result, there was kind of a dwindling of congregations because of the leadership that was not forthcoming after Peter Kalangula's death. So in God's own providence, the issue of GAFCON came into picture for different reasons, although related to what Reach has always stood for. And I happen to have been associated as an individual with GAFCON. Is where I met Bishop Des Inglesby, Bishop Njabulo. Then he was just a presbyter. And then the late Bishop Edwin Gubani, and then also Bishop Jomo Tuno, who shared with me in London and also in Kenya the situation in Namibia and how there it was. And after quite a number of years, I considered myself always an evangelical, and certain circumstances led to rather a swift decision to join forces with Reach SA, being accepted there to join forces with Reach Namibia, or rather to join our evangelicalism with the rest of the evangelicals in Namibia. And that is how the current Reach Namibia was born. A number of young clergy, young lay people eager to know the gospel, eager to have a living faith, a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, decided the time has now come for us to join forces with the gospel partners. And as you remember, you and Bishop Njabulo came up. We had that celebration in Windhoek. And since then, we never turned back. I had 5 churches around that were left behind by the situation, as I explained about the death of late Bishop Kalangula. Some churches ended, some churches stopped, people stopped going to church and so on. But as we speak now, we were able to restart. St. Peter's in Windhoek is now called Bethlehem Community Church. We just give them new names. And St. Timothy in Swakopmund started as Christ Our Hope. And also in Walfish Bay, a new church plant, Christ Our Peace, was established. And then in Oshakati, we re-established the church there into 2 congregations, one in Oshakati East and one in Oshakati West. So that is where we are at the moment. We are about 35 congregations and an outreach to Angola.
Angola, fantastic. The gospel continues to spread from village to village and even country to country. That's great to hear.
Interestingly, I can clearly testify that this is not really a human effort as much as we are involved. Because at some of the places where these churches are just cropping up, some of those places don't know me. They don't know some of our ministers. Maybe they know 1 or 2, but you will hear that we have started a congregation here. You need to come here. You need to bring us materials, the prayer books, the hymns, and we need to have Christian education classes going on and so forth. So you can clearly see that God himself is at work, because the way churches are just cropping up, even now and then, it is quite fantastic and interesting that it is not a human effort more than it is the work of the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely. And we could see that so clearly when we were there. I think one of the things that struck us when the bishops came up for the consecration was to see what God has done in a country with such a history of division, with apartheid, and there were people on different political sides, even within the Church of England. And yet somehow God, by his Spirit, brought a unity there when the Reach Namibia was established amongst many people, because the gospel united us. And that was an incredible thing to see.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that could have been a stumbling block. I also thought about it. But it is amazing to see the positive reaction and the response when people come to our events, when people continue to engage us on various levels of national and even ecclesiastical level. The gospel has a mystery really of uniting people, even if there were historical differences, as it has been the case here.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen that, and it's been so amazing to see. And I mean, one of the things that really struck us was how quickly people responded when the gospel was preached, and how quickly people turned to the Lord. I mean, we just seeing the spread so rapidly as the truth is proclaimed.
Yeah, because the issue in Namibia at the moment is that we have a damage of European clergymen denominationalism, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
As much as we appreciate all that was done through European missionaries, whether Lutherans or Catholics or Anglicans, we still think there is more to be desired in terms of the gospel itself. People are not concerned, the people I have met and I have ministered to are not concerned so much about the church membership. They keep on telling me, we want to know this gospel thing. We want to to know what is this gospel, what's the Bible. We want to know more.
Yeah.
So people here are open. At the moment, I see an openness, obviously by God's Holy Spirit, enabling people to open up, willing to learn, willing to listen to the gospel. So there is quite an opportunity to share the gospel with people. And as you know, I do it in various ways.
Yeah.
We do those meetings, conventions, and we also use the music, trying to translate new hymns and spiritual songs. And it is raising quite interest in people listening to you, that we want to listen to this man who is singing these types of hymns and so on. So there is quite openness, and I would guess people would be considering investing their time, energy, and resources into this gospel crusade in Namibia.
Well, it really is exciting to see. And to hear now churches reopened again in Swakopmund, Windhoek, and Walvis Bay, which is fantastic to see. How many congregations are there now in Reach Namibia?
Actually, the up and running congregations are 35. 35 communities just planted the churches, some planted by people inviting us, please come here. We have started. And we got there, we find 70, 100 people. We have 35 altogether. That's now in exclusion of the communities in southern Angola, who are about, we're about 5 as of last, although we still have issues with Angolan situation different from ours. They are, you know, they are coming from a different background in terms of Roman Catholicism and Eastern Bloc influence. Everything must be regulated, must be registered. You can't operate until you are given permission. It's not the same as us. Even if for us, headmen don't give us the plot to operate from, we will use our own fields and so on, and so on. But that's not the case with Angola. Even your field, you can't use until you are permitted. But that one we will sort out later. I was just waiting for our own NPO to come through, because I checked everywhere that Church of England in Namibia was still operating under the South African arrangement of denominations here.
Reach Namibia is now registered as a Namibian church, but you wouldn't be able to do that in Angola.
We would like to. We are waiting for the response from the registrating authority to give us a non-profitable organization status, and that is what the Angolan government will want. I know already that Reach SA is a PBO. PBO with a particular number there, but I thought we need to add to that the Namibian scenario.
Yeah, these are always the challenges which can get in the way of gospel expansion, but you know, it's been so encouraging to see how you've worked through it and how you've been able to make progress, and God has really enabled you and your team to do so much there. It's been such an encouragement for us to see. And we continue to pray for Reach Namibia and the growth there. And of course, if you're watching this, here in Reach South Africa, we have a missions arm called Churches for Namibia, and we'd love to have, if you're wanting to partner with them in some way, please contact Churches for Namibia. They're always looking forward to partnering with us. Is that right?
Yeah, Churches for Namibia, they are mostly Western Cape, Western Cape region. Local churches coming together to sponsor teams that come up to do Bible teaching and minister to people, just to be with the people, to encourage them. And I can tell you that they have done that over the years. I was just going through their reports, and prophetically, I found a report by Bishop Warwick Cole Edwards. And it's quite interesting how God works. Speaking to people in 2011, only to see the fruits in 2016, 17, 18. Yeah. So it is quite interesting that Mrs. Tisha Hanecom, may her soul rest in peace, did a lot of work with women, and they still remember
Wow.
her.
She was amazing and committed to Namibia until the end of her life. Yeah.
Yes.
Brother Lucas, it's been just so amazing to see. And God has given you amazing power, because your energy and your strength that you have to do all of this work, there is so much that you seem to be able to accomplish. I think that God has given you a supernatural ability and a gifting for this position. It's been amazing to see.
That is a compliment. I when I look back myself, I only conclude that this work is being done by God Himself.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I think because we are mortal beings, we don't know when we are dying and leave the ministry in terms of mortality.
Yeah.
But I keep on saying, even if I'm not there, I'm very sure the young people that we have, God will be able to raise up one, and the ministry will still continue. Because one will always be scared that if the church surrounds around you, it becomes problematic and dangerous, because when you are not there, people don't know what to do. But this is not the case with Reach Namibia. Young people keep on inquiring from nominal faith, who wants to have a living faith, those who want to have the ministry that is centered on the gospel. I remember reading the book in 2012, then in London, when I met the Reach SA delegation, the Trellis and the Vine. It's a challenge to think yourself as a trainer, as a teacher, more than you are a clergyman in the church,
yes,
providing services, or a CEO of the corporate company, making sure things are done correctly. But I have passed those two stages. I am on the trainer and the teaching ministry, that each and every person must be equipped for God's ministry.
Absolutely. That soundbite alone, every one of our clergy in Africa should hear. Don't you think so, David?
They do, because as I said, the damage of denominationalism, where ministers are reduced to effectiveness only when they baptize a child,
yes,
when they do a confirmation, when they bury the dead, and they think, oh, our minister is good because he's doing these things. We would like the minister to be good because he's preaching the gospel. Whether there is burial or no burial, people should be able to go to church, you see. Yeah.
That is so true. And gospel-driven growth, not personality-driven growth, is what we're after. And that's what God will accomplish as we do that.
Absolutely.
It's been so great hearing from you, brother. It's been excellent catching up and chatting to you again. We miss Namibia. Hope we can visit again soon.
Yes.
And we look forward to you coming and joining us at another synod soon too.
Yes, we are longing for the normal way of doing church again.
Yeah.
We hope under God's providence things will be back to normal.
For all of us, may God hasten that day.
Yes.
Hello, Lucas. It's been great.
Hello. Tangi.
Tanki Unene.
Thank you, Unene.